Why do I hate myself? That is a hard question to even say out loud. Most people do not ask it where anyone can hear them. They ask it quietly, in the car, in the shower, lying awake at night, after they said the wrong thing, after they lost their temper, after they disappointed someone, after another day where they promised themselves they would be better, calmer, stronger, more disciplined, and somehow ended up feeling like the same person they were trying so hard not to be. And then the question comes back. Why do I hate myself? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with my brain? Why do I think like this? Why can I understand things logically, but still feel broken emotionally? Why do I keep talking to myself in a way I would never talk to someone I love? That is the part most people do not know how to explain. Because from the outside, maybe your life looks normal. Maybe you go to work. Maybe you take care of people. Maybe you laugh when you're supposed to laugh. Maybe you answer, "I'm fine," so automatically that even you almost believe it. But inside, there is this voice, and it does not always sound dramatic. Sometimes it is not screaming. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it sounds like a question. Why am I not enough? Why can't I ever seem to get it right? Why am I not better today than I was yesterday? Why do I keep making the same mistakes? Why do I feel like everyone else got instructions for life that I never received? And if that voice has been there long enough, it starts to feel like truth. Not a thought, not a pattern, not something you learned. Truth. But what if it is not? What if the voice in your head is not the deepest truth about who you are? What if it is something you absorbed, something you adapted to, something that started as pain, then became protection, and eventually became the way you speak to yourself? Because self-hatred does not usually appear all at once. It is built, slowly, through criticism, through comparison, through shame, through being misunderstood, through being corrected more than comforted, through being expected to know how to handle feelings nobody ever helped you understand. And sometimes it is built by people who loved you. That is the part that makes it complicated. Not every wound comes from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from people doing the best they could with what they had, while still passing something painful forward. A parent who thought criticism would make you stronger. A teacher who only noticed what you got wrong. A relationship where you learned to question your own reality. A world that kept telling you that your worth depended on how useful you were, how attractive you were, how successful you were, how easy you were to love, or how little trouble you caused. And over time, your mind starts connecting the dots. If I fail, I am unsafe. If someone is disappointed, I am the problem. If I need too much, I am a burden. If I make a mistake, it means something about me. If I'm not improving fast enough, then maybe I'm not trying hard enough. And one day, nobody else has to say those things anymore. Because the voice has moved inside. That is why it feels so convincing. It sounds like you. It uses your memories. It knows exactly where to press. It knows the mistakes you still replay. It knows the parts of yourself you try to hide. It knows the questions you are afraid to ask out loud. But a thought can sound like you and still not be the truth. A wound can learn your language. A fear can learn your voice. A pattern can repeat for so long that it starts to feel like identity. But repetition is not proof. Pain is not proof. The fact that you feel broken does not mean broken is what you are. Maybe the better question is not only, why do I hate myself? Maybe the better question is, who taught me to speak to myself this way? Where did I learn that mistakes make me unworthy? Where did I learn that love has to be earned? Where did I learn that rest is laziness? Where did I learn that my needs are too much? Where did I learn that being human is something I should apologize for? Not so you can blame someone forever. Blame is not the point. Understanding is the point. Because once you can see that a voice came from somewhere, you can begin to separate yourself from it. You can begin to say, this is not me. This is a pattern. This is not truth. This is something I learned before I knew how to question it. And if it was learned, then slowly, carefully, it can be unlearned. Not all at once. Not by pretending everything is fine. Not by forcing yourself to be positive. But by noticing the voice when it appears. The next time your mind says, what is wrong with me? Pause. Not because the feeling is fake. The feeling may be very real. But instead of becoming the question, try observing it. Say, the critic is here. The part of me that feels broken is speaking. The part of me that is scared is trying to explain the pain. That small shift matters. Because when you say, I am broken, you are inside the wound. But when you say, a part of me feels broken, you have created space. And in that space, something new can begin. You are not denying the pain. You are not pretending it does not hurt. You are simply refusing to let pain be the only narrator of your life. Because self-hatred is not the whole story. It may be the loudest voice right now. It may be the most familiar. It may even feel like the most honest. But familiar is not the same as true. And cruel is not the same as honest. You can take responsibility for your life without hating yourself into becoming someone else. You can grow without attacking yourself. You can regret something without turning yourself into the mistake. You can be wounded and still be worthy of care. So if you are asking, why do I hate myself? Start here. You may not hate who you are. You may be hearing the echo of what hurt you. You may be living with a voice that formed before you had the language to defend yourself. You may be carrying a wound that learned to speak. And if that wound learned to speak, then maybe healing begins when another voice learns to answer. Not louder, not harsher, just steadier. A voice that says, I am hurting, I am learning, I am still here, and I'm not broken. Closing. Welcome to Self-Worth Lab. Understand the wound. Rewrite the voice.